Contemplate the workings of the inner being. Your eyes are wide open, but are you really seeing?
We just take 2 more deep breaths together before we even get into this.
Can I use the Arnold voice?
No. Fine, you can.
Yeah, come on here. Come on. You want me to breathe here? Come on here. All right.
We're going to talk about racism. How come mine sounds like they're underwater? Like they got like a nasal infection or something.
Get out of here. Come on.
My name is Cole.
My name is Todd.
We are
Todd Cole, and this is the Mentor in the Mirror podcast.
Man, listen, every week, right? Because usually we were doing 3 or more podcasts a week, and all of a sudden we move out into the country.
Into the wilderness.
This isn't even the country.
It's just the boondocks.
There's the hill country, and then there's just the country, which is past the hills in the country. And it's loud. It is loud here.
At nighttime, especially.
Bruh, what are those little crickety, grasshoppery blowing through the things? Dude, they are loud.
A lot of noise.
They are loud.
I had to close the window.
It was a pretty, I guess it feels pretty on point with all of the noise.
Yep, lots of noise in the world.
So we still don't have internet where we are. So we're recording this again on a handheld microphone, which is dope. I'm grateful that we have that ability. And we're just not getting out podcasts as much as we like, which seems really crazy because there's so much more going on.
So thank y'all for your patience.
Yeah, for your patience.
We love y'all and we appreciate you, and we appreciate you rate, review, and subscribing, but also keeping that rating at a 5-star rating. I'm just saying, even though it's you know spaced out. Anyway, so yeah, thank you all for your patience and for sticking with us and rocking with us. We will bring out more content. We have also been very, very busy helping people navigate the spaces that they've been going through with the whole situation with the killing of George Floyd and the whole COVID-19 situation.
Well, and all the changes. If you don't already know anyone listening, the majority of our clients are doctors, physicians, and like transformation coaches of some type. Mm-hmm. So basically everyone that we work with has either had to pivot their business, change their languaging, or had to really step up in how they're serving. Bruh, we literally sat down to finally relax this week after being in Denver last week, or in Vail or Beaver Creek. And as soon as I uttered the words out of my mouth, like, I'm not doing anything today, I'm finally starting to feel like I can relax. Shit got real.
The fan.
As it has been. So, I know that if you're listening right now, if you're anything like us, have been through a myriage of emotions and feelings and people and dynamics. And we'd love to hear about it. If you hit us up on Instagram, let us know if there's certain things you want us to talk about. But what we're going to dive into a bit on a deeper level today is we're seeing people just being cut down after being of service in their communities for 5-10 years.
More than that
for a lot of them. More than that for a lot of them. And I'll take a second to speak to my white folk because I got to talk to you for a minute. And some of the things that I'm seeing, though I appreciate the sentiment of action, I also feel like a lot of the action that I'm seeing on Facebook is people just denouncing, cutting down, destroying, and then going on a mission to burn down people's businesses because they feel like they aren't being anti-racist or taking anti-racism acts. The way that they perceive it should be. And this is usually coming from people that woke up, 2 weeks ago to a fire that's been burning for hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years at this point. So my issue I would like to bring up, my issue with what I'm seeing, is that if we're really going to be about it, then it's about the reform in the long game. And it's about the conversations that need to happen from my perspective in educating the white folk that don't understand, have never oh, they had that black friend in high school type thing, and they haven't had the resources and the time to learn and understand. And instead of someone stepping in to educate and reach out, especially people that have been perceived as colleagues and friends, is really disheartening and sucks, man.
Well, I mean, it appears to me to be another mode of separation.
Yeah.
People are separating more. First it was the racist and non-racist. Now it's racist, non-racist, and anti-racist. So so now it's everybody against the racist. And then if you're not with the anti-racist agenda the way anti-racist people are saying, or the current anti-racist people are saying, then you are racist and you should be blacklisted, you should be cut off, you should be thrown under the bus, you should not be educated, you should just be shut down.
Right.
And I think that that's dysfunctional as well.
Well, if we're looking at what the actual mission is, then the thing is, like, what I'm perceiving, so many people we work with have gone to every Tony Robbins, Landmark, paid for every major coach of varying types, from wellness to health to transformation. And what I'm watching is a performance of the equivalent of paying to go to some coach's big transformation weekend, having all these realizations, only to leave the weekend and go back to the same shit they were doing before. And I think what that's looking like right now is white coaches taking action to hire maybe a diversity or anti-racist training of some sort, but it's only going if history repeats itself according to just the coaching field, okay? And health, and as it pertains to even working out. People get in for a little bit, they go hard body, they say, I'm all in this, and 90 days from now, they're not doing shit. That has been the record of most people that have come to work with us, is that they still haven't taken that into their day-to-day life. So maybe they diversify their team, right? Maybe they hire now their marketing person is black. Congratulations. Like, that is not going to change the systemic issues nor the police brutality issues towards black people.
Agreed. And, we've got to do something different than this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak to the white folks because I'm not white. And I can say whatever the fuck I want anyway.
Fair.
And so,
and yes.
And I think the white people should be able to say whatever the fuck they want to say too. Let's talk about it. What's going on with you that you need to cut down other white folks right now? Because now all of a sudden
there's a big issue.
There's a big issue. There's always been a big fucking issue. Yeah. And I'm gonna speak my piece. Okay, I've watched black people be killed and cut down by the police, by other black people, by white people. I've been watching it all my life. So, for now that it's a big media situation, now that the internet is here and everybody can see things, it's a different story. So let's find somebody else to cut down so that I don't get cut down, right? Oh, I'm a white person, so let me make sure that everybody knows, that all the black people know that I'm on their team so that I don't get cut down and that everything looks politically correct and all this other stuff. And I think that it's, that's not the way to go about it. Educating people, making sure that people know what's going on, let's talk about this stuff. It's really important for these things to happen.
Yeah, and exactly what you're describing right now is exactly what I've been seeing, is that now people are afraid, if someone I'm associated to has even been profiled as potentially racist or not taking anti-racist action, we cut them out. When the truth is that speaks more to a lack of experience in taking long-term change, because with everything that needs to change, if I, as someone that has had relationships with people where I've gone to their events and I've supported them and I consider them a friend, and I have not taken, and I'm speaking to anyone that may have done this, if you did not hit them up directly or call them on the phone to question, hey man, I just saw this post and I wanted to get a little bit more clarity or perspective because it seems to me that it comes across like it could be a bit racist, or where do you stand as it relates to these issues? And instead what people are doing is they're becoming reactive. They're already in fight or flight and have been for the last couple months. And so they're taking the road of least resistance. And the road of least resistance has the least impact. That's like going to one of these, Tony Robbins seminars, getting all hyped up for the weekend and going back to doing the same shit. It's all hype.
I mean, it is a lot of hype, and I do see the merit behind people's motives.
Yes.
And the now this anti-racist sentiment, all of a sudden white people are professionals at being anti-racist.
Right.
Get out of my face, all of you, out of my face right now, because you do not know what anti-racist is yet. You're finding out. So for you to sit here and diagnose another white person as not anti-racist because of something they said that maybe they're not even aware of, or maybe that you're not aware of, I think blacklisting people is messed up. And if you're going to do something, what is it, a month since all of this went down? Not even a month. 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks since all of this went down. So now you're a professional. Right? You're a professional at being anti-racist because you took somebody's class, or some coach came out with a let me show you how to be racially sensitive, or whatever class that people are doing on the internet. So now all of a sudden you are the pro? Get out my face with that. Yeah. That's nonsense. And so what I'm saying is this has been racism has been systematically designed for a long time.
Yep.
Before slavery started, right? Racism was being systematically designed for a long time. So for you to sit here and tell me that in 3 weeks you have unraveled racism and now you know exactly how to be anti-racist, and you're gonna put other white people down, or other people period down, for not having the anti-racist sentiment that you were told is anti-racist, or you believe now is anti-racist, I think is very, very, very short-sighted. I think it's a lack of being expansive in how you see things, and I think it's intolerance. And I don't wash well with intolerance, and you can put me in a machine with it, but intolerance doesn't wash. And so being in a space where I understand what intolerance looks like, we have tons of people that we work with that are intolerant of themselves, of their families, and all of these situations.
What you just said right there, that what I'm seeing is it is how intolerant they are with themselves, and so they are intolerant with what they're seeing in someone else. Mm-hmm. Because that's the word people are using. I will not tolerate racism. But then that's because you cannot tolerate yourself, because you by design are racist. Now, I was explaining to someone earlier about bias. I said, let's shift from it being racism, and let me explain how bias works. If you're out walking through a garden, why don't you walk on the flowers? They're like, well, because you don't walk on the flowers. I said, why do the flowers have more value than the grass you are walking on? Well, because someone planted them. All of these are beliefs and ideas that the flowers have more value, so you don't walk on them. Mm-hmm. That is a bias. Now, roll that in to whatever way you want to look at something. We, as humans, are binary by design. We learn up, down. We learn right, left. We learn Democrat, Republican, conservative, whatever. And people are approaching this with the same thing. And that is not going to change the next 50 years any more than it changed the last 50 years, if that's how we approach it.
I agree. Oh, and the other side of conservatives, liberal.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Just throw that in there. But I agree. And this bias that people have is a bias that's been there. Mm-hmm. And most white people do not recognize the bias that they've had their entire lives around black people. Look, I'm a black person, okay? Or that's what I've been told that I am since I was a child, right? All my family is descendants of black folks in this country, and slaves in America. So I associate with being black. And I have my own biases around black people. I have my own biases around white people. I have my own biases around all people, because they've been programmed into me. This is how we've been designed. This is how societal constructs work. That's it. And once you can recognize that you have a bias, that's the first step. Yeah. Seeing that you have a bias And then sitting down with your bias. What am I going to do about this bias? And when you see somebody, when you recognize that bias and you decide to do away with the bias or at least recognize it and
kind of sounded like virus and bias. I liked it.
And act on it how you feel is functional. If you see somebody else with a bias, now you shut them down, you turn them away, you turn them out. No, you teach them. And this is what we're in the game of. We're in the game of teaching people and showing each other. And if we don't teach each other and show each other, then the world doesn't change.
Right.
And if we sit here and we cast people into the abyss because they are a certain way and we don't sit and listen to why they're functioning the way they function, understand where they've come from and show them, look, this is how I see things. They don't even have an opportunity to shift.
Right.
And so when people get on social media and they start wielding the keyboard on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter,
their mighty
on
shield
whatever,
on their steed of iPhone.
Get out of my face, man. When people start doing that stuff and they start cutting off friends that they've known for years because of ideas that they have, of thoughts that they have, of their own personal vulnerability, things become more dysfunctional because we're making separation yet again. And racism has been a thing that has separated this country for a long time, separated this world for a long time. And it's not just about black people. It's about all races being separated. These are ideas that human beings can be compartmentalized into these different races. We are all one race of human beings, and we've been conditioned and taught to treat each other differently based on the color of our skin, the languages that we speak, the size and shapes of our bodies, our genders, all of these different things we've been taught to partition ourselves in, and we are still biased. And in order for us to be in a space where we can function evenly, we've got to do away with all of this bias. And it's going to be, look at how many millennia we've been creating these biases for. Yeah. It's not going to happen overnight. So for these people who are in the anti-racist space, I don't believe that I'm a racist. I'm black. It does not apply. And so for the people that are now jumping on the anti-racism bandwagon that weren't even thinking about it 3.5 weeks ago, I encourage you to please let your guard down. Stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself, am I being intolerant? Am I making yet another divide? Isn't that what racism was? It's a divisive division, encouraging force that we've built our society upon. Do we want to create more division with how we're going about our anti-racist sentiments? A lot of the people that I know, white folks that were not even trying to hear about Black Lives Matter 3.5 weeks ago, are now walking around spray painting, holding signs, chanting their website and all that. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but 3 weeks in, you're a professional anti-racist person that you can sit here and diagnose and shut people down, I think is creating another bias. And I ask you from the pit of my soul to please step back and consider what you didn't know 3 weeks ago and allow the people that still may not be in this space where you are to trip. Catch them when they fall. Pull them to the side. If they put a post up that doesn't resonate with you, call them on the phone. Don't send a DM or I'm cutting you off and unfriending you and all this shit.
Or a passive. I'm seeing a lot of passive aggressive posts directed towards someone. But they're not calling out, I don't want to call them out directly. It's And
there are also people taking screenshots and then they share it on their page. Don't support this company because they're not anti-racist. They have racist sentiments, or they said this and that and the third thing. This is stuff where we're destroying people's businesses with this. We're destroying people's lives, and their relationships, and
all the people they work for, support, and have elevated.
And this is another form of bullying. Yeah. And you want to talk about bullies, people in the same anti-racist people are anti-bully, and yet they're bullying people. We've got to really sit into this and really slow down. People are being reactive and not responsive. Mm-hmm. And when you get reactive, it's really challenging for a person to be in a logical space. And when you throw these things in front of people, they will become reactive as well. And then you have battling back and forth.
Well, we talk a lot about identity, right? Because people now, their identity and belief of themselves has been challenged. If I'm a good person, and if I'm a good white person that wants to support Black people, then I have to do this, that, and the third. until you get to the core of what you're participating in and understanding the bias that's been created by your environment, your conditioning, your religion, your parents, you will continue to project through those lenses.
Yeah. So, there's something called shucking and jiving that white people may not be aware of, or maybe they are. Shucking and jiving is something that black folks, where I come from, if you shucking and jiving, you kind of kissing massa's ass. I sure is happy to be serving you white folks this meal, sir. I sure am. Let me shuck this cone for you, sir. Do you like that, massa? Now we got white people shucking and jiving on the other side, right? Trying to kiss ass. We don't want you to kiss our ass. We want you to recognize what's been going on. We want you to recognize and at very first, recognize and admit that something is fucked up in the United States of America and on this planet, and that it needs to stop now, and start talking to your children, your kids right now. Buy your kids some black dolls, right? Mm-hmm. Right now. Yeah. Like, really start talking to your kids about what's going on. Talk to them. Let them know. Talk to your white friends. Let them know. Hey, if somebody says something that's off kilter, don't beat them up. Don't sell them down the river, because shame makes people hide, and then they take their sentiments underground.
I would rather take someone that is overtly who they are than covertly who they are.
Listen, this is one of the things as a black person in New York City, we were like, look, man, white people in the South, their racism is overt. They're out in the front. They'll call you nigga right there in the street. But in New York City, in the North, people will hide that shit, and they'll go in the locker room and they'll do that shit. That's what they did in high school. They would never say it out in the street, but they would go in the locker room and they would get caught. And that's where the fights were when I was in high school. It was because the white boys would get in the corner and start talking all of that nigga stuff in the background. And then there would be fights when the black kids got in there. And so it would be a bunch of problems. So this is the thing, man. If one of your white friends is talking some crap or says something that's out of order, just bring it. Hey, man, listen, I noticed that you said this. That sounds a little, in the vein of, something I think is racist. Let's talk about it. Not, oh, you're a racist. That's bad. That's horrible. Yo, man, let's talk about it.
People are stepping in to be the executioner, right? Like, that's going to make up for the racism they unconsciously participated in up until now. And the truth is, like you said, I haven't had one friend ever come to me and say, I want white people to go destroy other white people that don't think, or that don't believe that this system is racist. They first want to be seen and acknowledged that this is happening, just like what you said. And so now I feel like white people are taking this like self-righteous, virtuous attempt to prove like, well, now that I know, I'm going to come in and I'm going to save all the black people from racism. And that is as problematic, because it's going back to that savior complex that people can get caught up in, whether in the coaching world or now in this anti-racism activity.
The thing is, a dialogue needs to happen. And I think people are jumping right into action without dialogue. And the dialogue is being very limited. And so when people, and this is something we always encourage on our podcast and the work that we do, we encourage people to be vulnerable and to be open about how you feel. And believe me when I tell you, there's a lot of emotion in vulnerability. And when people can be vulnerable in a space and have that space held to them, they can get their shit out and it can be discussed. And it can be put on the table so that we can actually get a person's nervous system to calm down so that they don't have to defend the construct of racism. They don't have to defend it, because it will come up through your body and it will defend itself. And this is part of a lot of what we talk about in our stuff is societal constructs. And racism is a societal construct. And it is the foundation of the United States of America, racism. It's one of the most foundational things that's not in any of our, it is in some of our doctrine. It is in some of our legislation and all of that stuff. And it's embedded in there. We've got to get in there and discuss this stuff. And the only way to discuss it is for it to be brought to the surface.
And it's not going to be the first time that someone understands it. It's so insidious that it could take you trying to talk to someone multiple times. Just like the first time someone showed you trigonometry, you didn't get it. You can't explain to someone in one day the depth of how it shows up in our bodies, in our music, in our everything. The clothes that are sold, the dolls that are sold, like you were saying, the stories that are shared with kids and people. This isn't a one and done situation that you'll just cut everyone out on Facebook that's uncomfortable for you and then hey, look, you fixed racism.
By the way, I got trigonometry on the first day. I got that it was absolute bullshit and I didn't know what the hell they was talking about. And I was like, get out of my face. Anyway, yeah.
Truth is, I don't even know what trigonometry is because I didn't.
Listen, I don't know if you want to know what trigonometry is.
I know there was like angles and shit. I don't know.
There's a lot of different shit in trigonometry.
Yeah, well,
it's bananas.
I don't even know where. I'm not even sure how I pulled that word out of my vocabulary because I assure you that never existed there.
Trigonometrics. So, look, man, we've got to start talking about this and we've got to have the ugly discussions. And that includes the throwing around of all the words and the voices and things being said. And I think, some of the most beautiful opportunities that I've had in my life was to be able to allow white people to say racial slurs in front of me and not flinch and not give them shit about it and be like, how does that make you feel? Being able to say that, does that make you feel powerful? Does it make you feel connected? Does it make you feel ashamed? What do you feel when you say those words in the presence of a black person? How does that feel? And the amount of shit that comes out is incredible.
Yeah. And
to be able to give somebody that space, right? To give them that space, say what you got to say. And then let me say what I got to say. Yeah. Let me say all the white slurs and the stuff that I want to say. Let's say it. Now that we got that out on the table, what are we so angry about? What are we holding on to? What is the injustice? What's going on? Let's have the discussion. Once we get past the nervous system that's been activated and heightened, let's get past it. Let's make that safe environment that we can speak our piece. Because I'll tell you, I can tell you right now, there's a lot of white people in the background still saying nigga this and nigga that. Okay, and if no matter how much people are not speaking it out in public right now, it's being said in private.
Oh yeah.
And there's all kinds of stuff being said that's not being brought to the surface. I want to see it. I want to know about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, man. Let's get into the uncomfortable conversations. Let's sit down and talk.
Well, and this is a big reason why, in the next week or so, you're going to hear more about it. Ta and I it's come to our attention. One of the biggest needs right now is bridging these challenging conversations and helping teach people how to show up for conversation because they don't know. And I think that's what's creating a lot of this unfriend, block run mentality that's going on. And that to me is retreating from the problem. Mm-hmm. Because if you can't face someone you saw as a peer, this is someone you said was your friend, how are you going to face a black person that needs you to hold space for them and express some shit when you can't even face your fucking friend? I'm tired of that shit.
Yeah, I see it. I hear it.
And it's we know so many good people, Ta, that are retreating right now. And it pisses me off. And I don't get pissed very often. And I have had more anger in the last few weeks than I've had in a long time. And it's not just because of racism and what's come up. It's to see people that have created these incredible communities using their influence to perform. That is my thoughts. That is my perspective. Because we sit in the room with people that have tough conversations, that have built their life on having and gloating on being for the upliftment of people in some capacity. And in the week, this has really become a big deal for me. And if you go to my Facebook, you can see it, that I am really inviting people that want to learn how to hold space to hear someone. And my invitation is to white folk, you want to actually learn? Shut up, sit down, and learn how to navigate your own emotions and nervous system so that you can actually connect to someone. Nobody's listening. You listen to one podcast or buy a program or attend one workshop. And now, like you said earlier, now you understand. You will never understand any more than I would understand what it's like to be a person with no fucking legs. I don't understand that, and I will never understand that. Hopefully. This whole idea of even wanting to be understood, we will never understand each other.
Nope. And that's the beauty of humanity. That's the beauty of existence. I will never be able to understand what you feel. And any of you listening, I will never be able to understand. But you can explain it to me. And I can imagine. I can imagine that I understand, but I can never understand it. And if you're a white person in this country and you think that you understand what it's like to be discriminated against by white folks, you don't. And you will never understand. And I can tell you the amount of times, I can't tell you the amount of times I've been held by police up against store grates, had my car searched and all kinds of stuff. Listen, over and over again. And I'm not even the darkest of black folks. Okay? I'm not even close to it.
Even when I've heard people say you're not really black, is like that.
And that's always white people. Always white people.
I know.
You're not really black.
Well, I mean, he's not really black. That shows that you have no idea what black is.
Well, I mean, look, it's something I've had to shrug off from black people and white people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not black enough to be black to white people. I'm not black enough to be black for black people either. So, you know, I've been written off as Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, whatever, Panamanian, whatever. You can't be black. And this is part of the issue, is that we don't know what, you know, all of this stuff is because we are not paying attention. Well, not we. I can't.
Well, we're not learning.
White people are not learning, and it's time for you to start learning. Do you know the dynamics? Do you know about the house Negro versus the field Negro? Do you know about that stuff? Do you know? Have you read? Have you even watched Roots? Right? Have you watched Roots? Have you watched Amistad? I'm sure you have, because Steven Spielberg did it, right? Have you read Kindred by Octavia Butler? You know, have you read these things? Have you read any of the stuff that depicts and talks about slavery and all? Have you done your research? You know, do you even know where this stuff goes or comes from? You know, but it's the thing was 5-10 years ago was black people need to get over it. You know, this is what I was hearing from white people.
Yeah.
The same white people that I'm seeing push this anti-racist agenda right now were like, black people need to get over it. Slavery was a long time ago. Slavery was a long time ago. That's not me. You know, get out of my face, man. And you know, I'm still happy. I'm still in an awesome place in my life.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm still in a space where it's like, let's talk about this shit. This is real shit. And this is shit that hits home, because this is shit that I've had to deal with all my life. And now suddenly people want to come up here and start, like, I have plenty of friends that are getting hit right now that are saying things, are asking questions. They're just asking questions on Facebook, or they're saying they feel this way, or is this real? They're asking questions about this stuff. And then other white people jump in and are slaying them, trying to kill them. Don't ask questions. And they're like, hey, give me a call. And people are like, no, I'm not talking to you after that racist sentiment. And these people, these are some of the coolest people that I know.
And I would say with the deepest desire to understand. And just because someone doesn't get it, it's because they have never learned. They have not seen it. But if someone's looking at you going like, will someone get on and explain to me, because I still don't get it. They're like, see, you are racist. That supports racism. Because if you can see that someone doesn't understand it and you're not willing to slow down for someone that desires to learn, as a white person to a white person, I will speak to this. If you will not slow down, then you are not for anti-racism. You are anti-racist, and it is not the same thing.
Mic drop. And with that, we love you. I love you so much.
And know that you can feel all the emotions right now.
All of them.
Don't get it twisted. Like, yeah, you heard my emotion today. And yeah, I get angry because what am I, again, anger goes to protection. What am I protecting, right? When people get reactive and you're seeing them online and there's anger, what are they protecting? Usually hurt.
Right. And take a look in that mirror.
What are you protecting?
What are you protecting? When you get angry at someone who has something to say that you believe is racist, What are you protecting? Who's being hurt? Where is the idea of there being hurt or injury to anything? To an idea, to you as a person, to your identity, to other people, to America, to whatever. What is driving your anger? And look at yourself. And once you come to that conclusion, share it with somebody. Share it. And we are open for dialogue. So if you agree with this, don't agree with this, if this opens up some channels, reach out to us.
Or you want to come on the show and talk.
Let's do it.
Whether you agree or don't agree, or there's a perspective you feel like needs to be shared here. Like, let's bring that to the table.
Let's bring it to the table, and let's all soar. Let's get into that condor energy. There are a lot of people whose businesses are being affected by this in a lot of different ways, and we've been asked to counsel some people on stuff. We've been very, very busy helping to diffuse bombs and help people navigate landmines. And so, reach out to us if you need some assistance.
We are going to be launching something for this purpose, teaching businesses, brands, coaches, health professionals how to lead through these landmines, how to still serve the people that you want to serve, that need to be served, how you can bridge the gap that you may have in your business to these social issues.
Right. And it's not just an anti-racism course. That's not what it's about.
It's an evolution of communication that without we can't change shit. That's the truth of it. So until next time,
rate, review, subscribe, share with a friend. And let's keep this conversation going. And maybe you've been hard on people, or maybe you've been attacking and I'm not saying everyone needs to do this. I am inviting anyone that is looking to really dismantle and take action towards anti-racism as a verb to reach out to us and be patient. You don't have to be nice. However, kindness will get you far. So until next time, my name is Cole. My name is Ta.
We are
Ta
Cole. This is
Mentor in the Mirror podcast.
Be free.